Okay, so I recorded an entire script for an overall review on The Owl House thus far, but after thinking about it, I decided to wait until after the season finale to review the show in its entirety, just to save a little bit more time. I think I'll just review the 2 episodes before the finale at the same time, and then I'll review the finale when that releases, and then the whole show thus far. If that sounds like a mouthful, I'm sorry. If you're new to my channel, I make videos on animation and stuff, so if you want to see more content like this, leave a comment or something. I mean, I don't care. I'm not your dad. But anyways, I want to talk about the semi-new show, The Owl House, specifically about its main ship of the show. I've recently come to like the show. The potential is definitely there for the plot and lore, but the ship has me kind of concerned for the future of the show. By the way, in this video I might be making some comparisons or a reference or two to a certain show. But yeah, I want to talk about the ship because really thinking about it, I'm a bit skeptical on how the show will go moving forward. Also, if you really want an explanation on everyone in the show, just like watch a different video please. This video is mainly for those who've caught up or know a lot about the show, so this is no recap in any way whatsoever. Also, there will be spoilers for the new episode that was released not too long ago and Agony of a Witch, so if you haven't seen any of those episodes, I highly suggest that you click off now, but yeah, let's get into it. So during the week of Grom Night, I kept seeing people on cartoon Twitter talking about the episode from the show, and it was called Enchanting Grom Night, and I kept seeing this promotional image over and over along with the teaser promo or whatever. I decided to watch the show to see what's so good about this ship that everyone is going bat crazy about it, and after catching up with the show, I can definitely see why people like the ship, but I'll continue to watch the show for the plot. But let me get into the details real quick. Lumity, that's the ship's name if I'm not mistaken, is the ship between Luz and the main character, and Amity the side character. I mean, she's become a regular at this point, so it's whatever, but moving on. Now I kind of want to talk about Amity real quick because there's a lot to her character, like a lot. Amity at first was this mean girl bad. Pretty predictable. It seemed like she would be a ruthless rival in the show compared to Luz, but later on, we see tons of development for her character. No, like, seriously, her development is a lot in the show. To the point where she's the most developed out of really any other character besides the main trio in the show, but it's whatever. At first, like I said, Amity was just mean girl bad, but her development into a semi-decent character is definitely one of the show's best qualities. She isn't immediately redeemed or anything, and she doesn't completely change or anything, but as the episodes go on, you realize that she actually has insecurities, dorky interests, etc. And you can definitely tell that she's a well-written character because of how her true character resonates with audiences. Luz and Amity's dynamic starts off pretty bad, but it slowly builds up to a friendship with some flirting here and there. And the thing is, it isn't shoved down your throat. The things that Amity does and the emotions that she feels actually feels natural, like her status in Hexside along with her family issues, actually add on to this. The show does a great job at showing how stressful things are for her, especially with the episode Convention, as she was shown to not be heartless and actually vulnerable like a human for once. And the development of Luz and Amity's friendship and soon to be relationship probably is a lot more grounded and realistic than I had initially realized, which perfectly sets up the relationship from what it seems like their direction will go in the show. And how everything was executed in Enchanting Grom Night, I actually loved almost every aspect of it. Amity's fear was Luz rejecting her while asking her to Grom, and while it's hinted at the whole episode, we find this out to be confirmed later in the end. And unlike Luz's fear being portrayed as big and creepy, Amity's fear is something that may seem simple to the viewer, but to her as a character, it's crushing, and honestly I can kind of relate. Here's one thing I will say, I like the ship. It's personally one of the best LGBT ships in animation that I've seen in a while, but I feel like a lot of new fans of the show are coming in because of the ship, you know? I myself got interested because everyone on cartoon Twitter was making a ruckus about Grom Night, but I'm actually staying to watch the show for the plot. With the way the show is going, it's giving me some Toffee vibes from Star vs. the Forces of Evil, but it's not because of the villains themselves, but with how serious things will be going forward. Ida's curse in the Emperor's Coven has me hooked, along with who exactly is writing letters to Luz's mom, but at least from what I've seen so far, I feel like people will want to check out the show just because of the ship or diversity or whatever, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And while I think that the representation is a plus, I haven't seen enough people talk about the plot and instead of the fact that Luz is a bi-Afro-Latina that makes anime AMVs. Now I want to like quickly clarify that I'm not hating on anything with like LGBT representation and stuff like that. I don't have a problem. It's definitely nice to see more of this than a few years ago when even the possibility of Disney getting like an LGBT character was like extremely laughable. It's just that I don't want this show to be associated with just Lumity the ship, you know, but with the potential of the plot as well. I want to bring up another show. You guys remember the show She-Ra? If you were on cartoon Twitter when season 5 came out, you would know that Catradora, the main ship of the show, was the only thing people would be talking about for weeks on end. Not once, let me clarify this, not once have I seen anyone talk about how good or bad the plot is in that show, although it seems interesting that I'll probably give it a watch later on. At this point, the first thing I think about She-Ra isn't even the title character, it's Catradora, the main ship of the show, and I'm pretty sure that a ton of people have the same thoughts that I do here. I like this show, I like the character Luz and Amity, and as long as the writers don't pour a Star versus in the plot, then I'm all for the ship, okay? I just don't want the main ship of the show to be the main reason most newcomers watch and stay for the show, but that's just my personal opinion. Okay, so this was recorded on a Sunday, but it's whatever. After rewatching Wing It Like Witches, my opinions have changed a little bit, so I kind of want to talk about them. So first, I said earlier that Amity hasn't completely changed, and for the most part that's still true, but in this episode, she is very unapologetically gay. I'm not joking when I say this. I'm pretty sure she blushes more than 5, maybe even 10 times. Like seriously, at this point, the writers are not being subtle about it at all. Now, I could see some people say that this is really out of character for Amity and that she didn't really show this amount of emotion at all until now, especially with Luz, but you kind of got to keep in mind that before Luz showed up, she wasn't really able to show emotions like this at all. That's kind of the reason why she had a diary in the first place. So for her to now be all nervous and blushy and everything kind of makes sense, and not of the fact that teenagers are dumb. It's because over time she's gotten more comfortable with Luz and Willow, who actually like her for her, even though she's not really perfect. And also no, I didn't forget Gus, because any verbal interaction between the two is basically non-existent. But like seriously, we need more Gus, okay? We need more Gus, okay? Hashtag free Gus, he ain't do nothing wrong. Oh my god. I will admit it was pretty jarring to see the sudden change after Grom Night. It seems like the episode takes place a few days or a few weeks after understanding Willow and enchanting Grom Night, since Willow has gotten more popular and Amity's friendship with Basha is basically non-existent at this point. So it did take me a little bit to adjust to that change, but it's fine. Now I'm going to talk about Agony of a Witch, so for anyone that's still watching the video, spoiler images like will be dropped, so leave the video now please. But yeah, the synopsis is basically Luz doing dumb stuff after a field trip to the Emperor's castle, and with the images that are on screen, things look like they're gonna turn out pretty bad here, and if not, then definitely the last episode of the season. Now since there is Lilith in these images, this makes me ask this simple question: what happened with Amity being Lilith's protege or whatever? And I'm being serious about this question too. This was never mentioned by Luz, Ida, or quite literally anyone else after the episode convention, which is the 6th or 5th episode of the show. For context, Winging It Like Witches, as of recording this, aired yesterday, and that was the 17th overall episode. So you're meaning to tell me that a detail for a character this important to the plot hasn't been mentioned in over 12 episodes at this point? I feel like that's a major problem. You know, what really gets to me is that not even Ida talks about the possibility of Amity being a spy or being at the very least a little sus, and not even raising an eyebrow considering Luz was fighting Amity and she did help her to cheat, but for some reason she becomes extra cautious when promoting her name while selling stuff. By the way, Amity possibly being a spy or something like that could easily add more depth to her character, and assuming she were to betray Lilith or Luz in the finale or something like that, I feel like the decision would add a lot more weight to it, as well as add more development to both characters. At this point, I really hope that they avoided all of this on purpose in order to dump more context and exposition in the finale, because if not, I'll get really annoyed. And going back to Agony of a Witch, I really hope Amity isn't too involved in the episode, unless she adds more to the Emperor's Coven and Lilith's character. They could simply not have Amity in that episode because she broke her leg. I honestly don't know, we'll just have to see, because like I said, I like Amity as a character, but like, it's been a little bit since we've seen really only Gus, Willow, and Luz in an episode just hanging out and having fun. But yeah, moving on, remember when I was talking about representation? Recently, the fact that Disney of all companies has a bisexual main character is making headlines by the mainstream media, even CNN, and as you can imagine, the comments are not so supportive. I'm quickly mentioning this because at this point, it's pretty hard to miss the fact that this show has a bi-Afro-Latina character now. Like I said, I'm fine with LGBT representation, like I'm fine with representation in general, but it does really bug me that the show is getting more recognition and praise for mainly its representation and not just the plot as well, because the plot in the show is pretty good, okay? It has a lot more potential than people realize. At least the gay aspect of the show is actually a major part of the show, because half of the time when stuff like this happens to certain shows, the representation in the headlines and Discord chats and whatever aren't even the main focus of the show. So I'm glad that the Owl House is going all out with this, especially since just a few years ago, the idea of anything LGBT in Disney animation was pretty laughable. I just wish things were taken down a little bit for the plot, because all of this in one season, the first season too, and especially with the amount of attention that the show is getting in just this first season, I feel like this is a bit fast for my liking, but I'll probably get used to it if things do go well. As long as the lesson of the finale doesn't have anything like true love or something like that, like another show, I'm fine with it. Okay, just a little like note or whatever before I get to my outro and stuff like that. I just kind of wanted to thank everyone for watching my videos this summer and for any new viewers and stuff like that. Ever since trying to revive this dead channel, it's been pretty stressful, but it's been also fun at the same time. And while I definitely didn't upload as much as I wanted to, it seems like my channel is actually starting to grow from it, so yeah, thanks for that. Also, my Merkle video, for some reason it might hit 1k views by the end of August or something like that, so that's pretty insane for me, because by then that'll be like my best performing video that isn't a re-upload or something like that, so it's pretty surprising, but it's whatever. But yeah, this will probably be my last video before school starts for me, at least online school, so I definitely won't have as much time to upload videos as much, but I'll try and make it work, alright? Also, back in like late 2018, early 2019, when I was making videos on Diamond Days and stuff like that, since I was being pretty consistent, it seems like my channel was growing the most from that sort of era of the show. And now finding out about the Owl House and actually watching it, I think I might focus on that show now. Maybe, maybe not. Because I really like the show, you know, I definitely want to talk about it more, so I'll just have to see. I mean, only time can really tell. But yeah, thanks for watching my videos, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time or whatever. But yeah, I think that's the video. Like I said, please like, comment, sub. Again, I'm really tired. Also, I'm not your dad. I haven't really found a show other than SU to talk about on this channel, but I really like the Owl House, so maybe I might make more content soon. We'll just have to see. I am kind of very late on this show because we only have like 2 more episodes until the finale, so that's pretty bad, but I'll figure it out. But yeah, I think I'm out.